welcome to Chat Shit Get Well, episode 9. I'm here today with Roy Castleman, and we're basically going to talk about how we both really enjoy ice therapy. And Roy has been doing it for a lot longer than me, and he's someone that I really look up to in the industry, and he's helped me a lot about my outlook using ice and my salons and things like that. So when did you start using ice?
I started my Wim Hoff journey on the 21st of January 21.
Okay, yeah. So not even that long ago. Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, Wim Hoff birthday, as it were.
As it was, yes. So you done the retreat, that's right, with the Wim Hoff training course, didn't you, in Poland, was it?
In Poland, yeah. Yeah. So I've done my Wim Hoff instructor's course, level 1 and level 2. And I started that because of injuries and things. I thought, I had a real injury, and I was thinking about how do I recover quicker. And that allowed me to recover so much quicker.
So what was the injury that you encountered?
So in 2015, I skydive. I do a lot of skydiving and tunnel flying, so wind tunnel. And I flew into a wall and I dislocated my AC joint. So,
ouch.
And I was in Belgium, actually.
Yeah.
And I drove back from Belgium 9.5 hours with one arm,
an automatic?
No, not an automatic.
No.
And you're on the wrong side of the car, on the wrong side of the road, and you're trying to get through the barriers and everything.
Yeah, and your bearings are all out.
Yeah,
one arm.
So I went to the hospital and they said it's a grade 4 dislocation, so I had to have the tendon replaced.
Yeah.
And I said, well, actually, I'm just going to take ibuprofen for now. Didn't do it. I was very busy running businesses. They told me it was 4.5 months recovery.
Yeah.
And I just repaired myself as much as I could, and worked around it because the AC joint's not weight bearing. I could get away with it.
Yeah.
So after a few months, the pain was there and was consistently there, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
And I just left it. And in 2020, obviously, all the stuff that I was doing, the skydiving, the yoga, the other stuff that I was doing to maintain my abilities was not there. We were just not doing the same.
Yeah.
So by the end of 2020, I lost the use of my right arm, which scared me pretty.
Well, yeah.
Literally shat myself. I'm like, you can't use your right hand. You use your right hand for lots of stuff, right?
Yeah, you're right-handed?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're in a lot of trouble then.
So I went hunting and I looked, Tim Ferriss, who's got a book called Tools for Titans.
Okay.
I looked at that book and I was looking through all the biohacking techniques and anything that I could do to make the recovery shorter.
And that's when you found the ice.
Chapter 4 was Wim Hoff.
Wow.
Yeah, so who is this person? And then you start looking at social media and stuff. And
there's so much information. As soon as you open that, go down that rabbit hole, there's just so much information.
And then your feed's just full of ice baths and breath work.
Which is great. And so did you have the operation?
So I started on the 21st and I didn't really follow the safety instructions or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, when I dive into something, I dive in with both feet. And booked his 10-week fundamental course and did that. And I was in the Adventure Centre in Bedford and I had all the staff doing breath work and I decided, okay, I think it was middle of February I started ice.
Okay.
I booked the operation for the 17th of March.
Okay.
And had the operation. They said 4.5 week recovery. So I was doing breath work, I was doing ice baths. I right up until the operation, I did two ice baths a day. Had the operation, came out, and within 2 weeks, I literally the wound had healed so well. Yeah. It just kind of chalk and cheese. I couldn't believe it.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, from there, 7 weeks I was flying in the wind tunnel again. 8 weeks I was skydiving again.
You hadn't learned, you haven't learned from your mistake there, no.
Never. Yeah.
So was it good food? Like, did you find it helped with like the pain as well, like the pain management with the ice and things like that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the ice just takes away so much. It fills you with endorphins. It fills you with all sorts of stuff. Makes the whole world a better place. And,
definitely. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are using it for more mental health benefits as well, more so than injury recovery.
Well, I mean, while this was going on, I just bought this adventure centre. We just before COVID. Yeah, so 2021 was a horrendous year for me. Yeah, it was. I lost a chunk of money.
Yep.
Yeah, there was so many things going wrong. Yeah, life was just falling to pieces.
We all took a big kick in the balls, didn't we?
And I thought I run IT companies. I have 3 IT companies in London, and I'd always been successful in business. And now I wasn't successful. Yeah. And I got to a couple of points where there was a 130-foot tower out in the back where we had people jump off, and that was the wind tunnel. And literally I ended up there on 3 different occasions. Yeah. And that was it. I was going to jump off. Yeah.
Was it more like, because were you in like a lot of debt, or was it just the feel of failure and stuff?
I was the IT companies had all loaned money to the Adventure Centre,
right?
So it wasn't just the Adventure Centre that would
put everything into that. Yeah,
the skydiving community were all reliant on me to make it happen, because friends and people would all put money in. I had at one stage I had 150 staff there. So
it's a lot of weight on your shoulders, isn't it?
So much different stuff, and I got there, 3 a.m. at one stage, and I just decided to do a little bit of breath work, and got myself to a position where I could come down again.
Yeah.
And it was after that I decided, right, I'm going to do the Wim Hof training, and I'm going to teach people this, because this is important. Yeah.
And that's where your journey started, with helping others and sort of getting the knowledge out there.
Yeah. I mean, I've always been a coach, and I've done NLP, and I've done a range of things for myself.
Yeah.
And I'd use those also in the skydive coaching. I coach in skydiving as well. So this was a natural progression. And I think with the whole piece of COVID, I just realised that so many people were going to be in such a bad way.
Massively.
That it's not just going to.
And it's a shame that I don't think the ice bath knowledge was out there during COVID, to be honest, because there wasn't. Well, I definitely didn't know about it during COVID. I knew about alcohol and eating really bad food, mostly through COVID. I didn't really have any coping mechanisms in place for myself until after we sort of got back to normal, and then I sort of got my shit together, so to speak. And then, that's when I started using the ice for recovery from the gym, and mental health for me. Like, I just found it was a really good trauma recovery for me. I learned using ice for the PTSD, so I used that as a tool to sort of rebalance myself if I was having sort of trauma responses, like if I was having flashbacks, things like I'd go and have an ice bath, and I would get myself into a really mental state, really good mental state, and that's for me where I wanted to share was mostly the mental health benefits, really more than anything.
I mean, I started on the physical, definitely started on the physical health. But then shortly after that, it just became so much about. I was doing breath work with people that were consistently anxious and consistently stressed, and it was changing their character as I was doing it. I had staff members that were typically always walking around with long faces, and unhappy, and life was terrible. And they'd do 4 or 5 weeks of breath work, because I used to take the staff in every lunch break and do breath work with them. This was before I was an instructor, and we went through this kind of cycle. Excuse me. And before it was, as I say, 3 or 4 weeks, and suddenly this person that was always unhappy and always sad was coming to me and saying, "Oh, I feel really good. I feel amazing. Anything is possible." So
anything is possible. 100%. And it does start with all just your mindset, and that's your breath work, your meditations, and things like that. It makes such a difference, and it's such a great tool that not a lot of people know about. I think it's more spoken about now. There is more knowledge out there, and Instagram and YouTube and all that's great for all that stuff. So you can pick up lots of stuff, but you can't really beat a one-to-one coach, as far as I'm concerned, and that group community. When you're together, like a group of 10 or 12 of you in a room, and that energy together that you create, it's a different experience to sort of watching things online.
For sure.
And you've worked in corporate as well, so you understand obviously working under those sorts of really extreme stresses and pressures, and what a difference it can make within the workplace, not just in home and stuff. So you work with quite a few different people, don't you, from different walks of life?
I've had the last 2 years has been such an amazing kind of journey, 2.5 years. I've worked with from millionaires down to people with no money, charities, hospitals,
and do you find it's really it's not funny, it's definitely not funny, but they're all sort of having the same problems, really, as much as their lives might be completely different. It all comes down to the same mindset. It's the difficult of the mindset. So as soon as you can sort that out, we're all actually the same, really. We all have the same stresses, no matter what our lifestyle is like, really. Have you helped any? Because there's one thing I was listening to on the radio the other day, and it was saying about the ice baths, the new ravers The new ravers' favourite things to do. So the people that used to be out raving all the time, they're now the guys having the ice baths because it gives them the same sort of dopamine hits.
Guilty as charged, right?
Yeah. I wasn't going to say anything, but yeah. I mean, for me, yeah. I mean, I do still like to go to the occasional rave, but yeah, I do think a lot of people have used it to sort of like get those hits of dopamine and get that sort of like
if you, I mean,
buzz.
There's been a bunch of studies, right?
There has, yeah.
And cocaine gives you a 2.5 times dopamine hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that drops off after 30 minutes.
It does, yeah.
An ice bath gives you a 2.5 times dopamine hit, and it can drop off naturally after 6 hours.
Yeah. So weigh that up.
Weigh that up. I mean, we had, I don't know if you know, BBC Three Counties.
Yeah.
Babs is one of the presenters on there. And her and her producer came out and did a workshop at Box End at the Box End Wellness Centre, the health and fitness club there. And it was so funny because she came in. She first of all, she was petrified of it. Yeah, she really was scared of it.
Yeah, it's scary.
She did so well. She really did so well. And her and her producer were just they were really funny. But then they left at 3 o'clock. They left and they went straight on air. And from 4 o'clock onwards, it was so funny listening to them.
Oh, was it? Just buzzing?
They were just buzzing and laughing and giggling.
I think, do you know what? I'd rather do an ice bath than have a pre-workout if I'm training and stuff. So, because it gives me just such a nice... It doesn't give me an immediate high where I feel when I take a pre-workout, like a high caffeine drink, I have that buzz where I'm like almost a little bit anxious.
And you get jittery.
And jittery. But the ice bath just gives me that nice release throughout the day where I feel just a little bit stronger and I feel like a little bit more clear-headed and I'm able to take on a lot more things. And if I feel like if you do that in the morning, that's the hardest thing you're going to be dealing with most of the day. Well, we say I have 2 children, but it does make life just a little bit easier and more manageable.
Well, I think I've created something called My Mini Mental Helper, which I'm just busy putting into an app.
Okay.
And the concept of this is that, from a mental health point of view, what we don't do properly is we don't check in. We don't check in with ourselves. And I don't know how many times you've found that suddenly you're in this deep dark hole and you have no idea how you got there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, but if you check in every day, and you say, how am I feeling today? Yeah. And then from that point, I've got a list of 10 things that you create yourself.
Like a toolbox, do you mean? Yeah. So
So,
those tools are really important to have, even just an idea of what you can do to get yourself out of those places.
So you just see, okay, I'm feeling, a 1 out of 10 today. I'm feeling really terrible. So you go to the top of your toolbox list and say, okay, I need an ice bath and I need some breath work. And you do those things. And I say to so many of my customers and my clients, and my friends, if you can make yourself feel 10 or 15% better in the morning every day, your day just is so much better.
Yeah.
It just multiplies out, And if you do that every day, then straight away, every day becomes, it compounds, it adds and adds and adds. Yeah. And by the end of the week, you're having a great week. So, yeah.
Yeah. And do you think it's possible to be happy all the time?
I know it's possible.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't bloody wait. I feel like I'm on the way. I feel like I'm getting happier as I'm going through this journey. I'm getting happier. But there are days where you just think, I just need a day off. You just feel like you just need to.
Yeah, when you're in those days when you need a day out, well, if you need to listen to that, then you need to kind of And sometimes as business owners, what we do is we just push through, because we have to push through.
One thing I made as a New Year's resolution, I don't really believe in New Year's resolutions, but one thing I did say about this year is I'm going to try to speak to myself in a kinder way and sort of recognise that what I said to you is I need a day off. So beforehand, I would say, I feel really mental, or I feel really crazy, or I'm depressed. And those words can be really negative. Or I'll be like, I'm really anxious. So now I'm switching that vocabulary to say, actually, today I'm having a rest day. And just realising that actually I've worked really freaking hard for the last couple of days and I'm just going to take a rest day and I deserve that. There's nothing wrong with that. But, I've always been such a hard worker that wants to push. But there's always going to be a time when you're just going to burn out. And that's something I've, it's like I say, having that negative language by saying I'm depressed is then giving yourself the fuel to say you are depressed.
Well, there's a few pieces in there, and I 100% agree. I love that. But what we do as people is we often talk to ourselves way worse than we'd ever talk to anybody else. Yeah. That voice in your head, or that the way that you approach yourself, and you drop your keys. Oh, you damn idiot! But you'd never say that to your friend doing it, or even to anybody else. Yeah, and I spend a lot of time making sure that I talk to myself in the right way. Yeah, and I don't push anything out. And I spend a huge amount of time. Your second piece was negativity. Just getting the negativity out of my life. I don't watch the TV. I don't watch news. If I'm following something on social, because we all have to do social, right?
Yeah.
If I'm following something on social and they start going negative, I just unfollow it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by keeping this negative out of my life, it's just each day is a new journey. Each day I'm happier. Each day I can just evolve into being where I want to be. Yeah.
So how do you deal with challenges? I mean, if you were saying if there's a negative, because obviously you are going to experience some negative behaviours sometimes, it might be something you're uncomfortable with. So how would you face that? Because obviously we can't sort of run away from all negative, like unfollow. I know we can unfollow groups and stuff like that, but in our, life, we are going to deal with negative situations and stuff. So how do you face that in your daily life?
Well, firstly with compassion.
Yeah.
Compassion and understanding.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Yeah, because if anybody that comes in and has a go at me, I've got to say, well, why are they hurting?
Yeah, you're so right. You're so right. I know that when I'm horrible to people, it's because I'm upset about something. And I just want a hug. Yeah.
How can I help this person? Be better in themselves today. Yeah. I've got a 19-year-old daughter, right? And so that's a challenge all by itself. And I'm super proud of her. Yeah, now she's doing so well. But so often I've had to. I firmly believe that every single thing in your circle, every single thing in your control, you are, or in your environment, you are in control of. Okay, so and what I mean by that is you wake up in the morning and you smile. And you walk down the street and you smile. You say hello to people. You treat them with respect. You're going to get that back. So much more. You wake up in the morning, you kick the dog, you trip over the edge of the bed, you hit your head, everything's going the wrong way, and suddenly you're in a bad mood, and then you walk out the door and with this bad mood, everyone's going to be worse to you. So you're controlling how your environment reacts back to you. When somebody comes to you and has a go at you for whatever reason, try and understand, try and listen, and know that there's only one person that can make me feel bad, right?
Yeah.
I'm the only one that can make me feel bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. If somebody, heaven forbid, in your family dies and you feel terrible about it, you are making yourself feel bad. Yeah. They're not making you feel bad. They passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And once you can get to that understanding that you can control all the positivity and negativity, you can control how you present yourself out to the world, you can control how you see and affect these things coming back into you, and how they affect you, then they don't have to affect you badly. Yeah.
It's a really good outlook, It's a really good way to, I've definitely experienced that recently, just because I did a podcast the other month, and one of the ladies I was with, she said, nothing can be solved with, everything can be solved with love and, like you said, compassion. So understanding why someone's behaving and just taking a second to not react straight away and sort of have that thought process before those words come out and that fire comes out.
I have the 5-second rule,
Is that what it is, 5 seconds? Is that how long I should wait?
That's for me, that's
sounds like a long time, though.
Because as you get to the first
I thought that's when you drop food on the floor.
That's the 3-second rule.
Oh, is that 3? Oh, 3 seconds. Oh, it's not 5 seconds.
Unless you're hungry, then it's 5 seconds, right? And if it's steak, then it's definitely maybe a minute.
10-second rule,
And as you go through life and you realize that the worst case scenario comes into it for me very often. Okay, you have to live your life accepting the worst case scenario. Now that might sound negative, but I don't mean it like that. Because what we do as humans is if we look backwards. Okay, as we look backwards and we beat ourselves up about the stuff that we've done in the past, that makes us depressed. And then we look forwards and we think about all these things that are going to happen. And we make this picture in our head and we kind of, okay, so the tax man's calling me. So that means he must want to take money away from me. He must want to shout at me about something. Yeah. So then I'm going to do this. And then so we build this anxiety, right? And by doing that, by not living in the present, not living in the moment, you make yourself anxious or you make yourself depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you've only got a literal amount of energy per day, right? You have a store of energy that you can use in a day, and you can use that energy in a positive way, or you can use that energy in a negative way. And as soon as you start thinking about something in the past, something in the future, somebody else's problem, what Mary said, what Joe said, or what Bob said, all of these things steal from your energy.
Yeah.
And suddenly you've got half the energy in the day.
Yeah, and that's why we're all so overwhelmed and exhausted all the time.
And if you can just let go of what other people are saying.
Yeah, it's really important to live in the present, and I'm really, I'm trying that so hard recently. Like, it's just like really even just simple things. Like, I went to the sound bath thing today, and obviously that's great. If you can afford to go to these like events and the groups and stuff, it's amazing. It's a great experience because you're literally in a situation where you're not forced to be in the present, but really you are, because there's no phone, there's no light, there's whatever that is going on, you're completely zoned into that. But even just like daily techniques of recognizing and like noticing like feelings like washing your hands and just being really present in that moment of washing your hands and feeling the water and rubbing the soap in your hands and just taking those little moments out of your day to not think about anything. And it sounds,
or even think about something. But so I have a 20-point rule in the morning. Okay, so I get up.
You've got a lot of rules, haven't you?
Yeah, but they
keep you well.
Yeah. So I get up in the morning and try and find 20 beautiful things.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah,
So
like the gratitude.
Sunsets, sunrises, love them. I'll go and stand outside and I'll just and then you go past a flower, or you go past somebody gives you a nice smile, or and if you're looking for nice things, you find so many nice things. Yeah, if you're looking for problems.
Oh, they come. They honestly, they really do. Like, as soon as I started to have that different mindset of just thinking about the negative things and even talking about the negative things, like talking about things like parking tickets, and I'd talk about it, and the next day I would get another 2. Or I'd talk about something that's happened to someone else and it would happen to me the next day. And I'm like, why do these negative things? And it's because I'm giving them too much of a voice. So I'm talking too much energy. So I stopped talking about, and when negative things happen now, I really think twice to myself. I think, do I actually need to give my energy to this anymore? Do I need to talk about it?
I mean, that's such a good example, the parking ticket.
It's real, because it's real. It's happened so many times.
But I get this, and I have arguments, I have discussions with friends. Yeah, so you get a parking ticket. And it's not fair because my wheel was this and that was something else was wrong and something else, and suddenly you're down this, and then they're phoning the person, or they're phoning the company and saying you're not allowed to give me a parking ticket, and this whole thing then goes to court. And just pay the 35 quid. And if you've missed it, pay the 70 quid. I won't. And it's unfair for me to say that because some people haven't got that money. But if you have it in your capacity, pay it, because the amount of energy that you spend,
it's not worth it,
all the way through that process, is going to cost you way more than the value of £35.
I completely agree with you. And now, when I think I got one the other week, so I'll be honest, my driving and my parking is not the best skill that I have. But I did get one the other week, and I literally opened it and I thought, right, I just paid it there and then, and I just said thank you to myself, and I just got on with my day, and it didn't affect me. But then I think back to all the energy that and it used to piss me off for days. I would be fuming. And it would be on the fridge on a magnet, and I'd look at it and I'd go, I've got to appeal that. I'll keep forgetting to appeal it. Then it's gone to the next stage. Then I've got, one point, Transport of London, they sent a bailiff to the house because I hadn't, I was arguing so much. I still had to pay it. I had to pay even more. So, it wasn't worth the stress it caused. But just having those negative conversations attracts more negativity and bad things.
And the other side of it is we have these two systems to us, right? We have the parasympathetic system and we have the sympathetic system. And the sympathetic system is your fight and flight. So we have this fight or flight reaction that basically, a lion is chasing you. You've got to get out. You've got to be in the best possible way that you have to be in the best version of you so that you can deal with it. But you don't grow, you don't heal, you don't do anything when you're in sympathetic. Now, humans are the only animal on the planet that will think about something and put themselves back into a sympathetic mode. So every time you have an argument, okay, if you think about that argument again, and you think about that argument again, you keep on going back into sympathetic. Okay, you can't grow, you can't heal, you can't, you make yourself in a better situation. So, as you're saying, the thought about this ticket on the fridge, every time you see it, what's happening? You have the same chemicals coming back into your system to make you feel the same way.
Yes.
Yeah, and those chemicals are
this is science.
Yeah, it's science. Yeah.
It's not, it's not hippy dippy stuff. This is actual science. And you talk about the I can't remember what I was going to say now. We were talking about going into the person. I want to talk about the book.
Joe Dispenza.
I want to talk about the book because it's a very good book, and I've introduced a lot of friends to it, and a lot of friends have had a lot to say about it, which is really, really interesting. So let's go.
Let's go.
The book.
So there I was. I came out of the Wim Hoff level 2 training course, and one of the other instructors said, "Read this, Becoming Supernatural." Okay, and you'll be amazed and grateful. And I did. I was driving my camper van around Europe at that point. I listened to it for 14 hours straight, and the way that Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, the way that he explains everything, is based on science.
Yeah,
it's so science based, and he just walks through everything in a step-by-step process. And I'm an IT person, so that just totally syncs with me.
Yeah, for you were like, yes.
I'm like, yes, yeah. So,
and I love that. I love that when someone's brain gets, not a lot of people are open to this, this way of life, this meditation, this breath work. They're very closed, they're very like black and white. But when you actually can put things on paper and say, look, this is science. Yeah. This isn't just, some hippie in the middle of nowhere saying rubbish. Yeah. This isn't, made up. This is actual science. And this is where it's really interesting when we talk about how the brains release chemicals with your mood, your mood. Your mood and your outlook affects your physical health.
Yeah, and the big thing that Joe Dispenza talks about, and I've been to 2 retreats of his since. I've been to a retreat in Denver and to Dallas. And what he talks about is how the body becomes in tune with the things that you're feeling, and if you feel the same thing every day, all you're doing every day is living in your past. Mm. Yeah, so you don't get out of your past. You live the same thing. You get up, you put your alarm off at the same finger. You go to the kettle, you put the kettle on. You go to the toilet, you do what you do in the toilet. You come back, and your body just goes onto autopilot.
Exactly.
You've been in the car, and you've driven somewhere.
You don't even know how you got there.
Yeah, so your body just does this.
Yeah.
And if you're doing that, you're not in the moment, and you'll miss the 4 beautiful things on the way on the road.
Definitely.
And you'll just miss out on half a life. And the more you do this, the further you get, the further removed you get from society, and the further removed you get from yourself. And
you're just missing out on so much. You're missing out on life.
It's so much. Yeah.
Living that sort of life isn't living. It's just you're existing. Yeah. And I find I've always found that I am around I was around a lot of people that were quite. I don't think it's happy being in that existence, but I think it's just not being aware and not realising that there is actually more potential to what you can experience as a human. We don't have to just go to work and watch TV and have these routines where we're doing the same thing every day. Don't get me wrong, I go to the gym every day and I have my breakfast at a certain time, but there's so much more that you can experience from life. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I do as well. I get up in the morning, and most mornings 4:30. I turn the ice bath on. 5:30, we have the morning club that comes in. We do some breath work first, then we do meditation, and then we do ice bath after that. So that's a routine that I do most mornings.
Yeah, same.
But within that routine, you don't have to be. You can appreciate every moment of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's bringing your focus down to now. Right, what can I get out of now? And that really kind of brings you a power that you just can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, 100%. And I remember in the Joe Dispenza, is it Joe Dispenza? I'm rubbish with it.
Dr. Joe Dispenza. Yeah.
Joe Dispenza. So one of the things he says in there is, your mind can make you sick, but your mind can make you well.
Oh, for sure.
And I love that. I just love that saying. It really, really, stuck with me. And I've just really put that. It's weird how that sentence can make just such a difference to a mindset, because I thought, whoa, that book. When I read that and I thought, that's so true. Why have I not recognised that before? Because I know that my head makes me physically want to be sick sometimes. Yeah. It can make me IBS flare up. It can make me come out in eczema. That stress can make you so sick. So to know that your brain can make you well, and that's what that book is mostly found about. It's about obviously discovering that you can heal yourself. through your mindset.
And I have healed myself on a few things. I have diverticulitis, which is the colon has perforations, and then food gets into these perforations, and you get really sick. You actually get infected. And when I went to this first Joe Dispenza event, I started having a diverticulitis attack, and this was it just totally scared me, because here I am on a 7-day retreat that I've paid quite a lot of money for, and I knew every single time that I have these attacks, every time, 7 times now. The last time I was in November 21, I ended up in hospital for 11 days with a burst colon, and all 3 different types of antibiotics intravenously. And
that's pretty bad.
Basically sepsis. And I was lucky they didn't have to do surgery. So when I'm sitting there at the Joe Dispenza event, I'm like, I've recognised this. And I just went down. First meditation, felt a bit better. The retreats or meditation, 40 hours of meditating and a whole bunch of science and everything. Second day, meditation, feel a bit better. Third meditation I did, I just went bang, and since then, July, I've not had one single twinge in the stomach.
That's amazing.
That's
so good.
And when we were there and at these events, and people listen to this and they're like, oh, really? And that's fine. But if people are really interested, he does conference healings. So he does healing with people that are there. When you have 2,000 people meditating together, the energy in the room is palpable. It really is palpable. And part of the event is there's 3 different healing sessions. And within these healing sessions, everybody goes into squares of 8, and the people that have applied for healing, and these are people with stage 4 cancer, paralysis, various different diseases, autoimmune things. They go and lay down between everyone, and everyone meditates with the intention of healing this person. There's currently something like a 43% success rate. There were 7 people at the last event, and people can look this up on Joe Dispenza's website. He did a blog on it. There were 7 people that were paralyzed that got up and walked. The mind is so powerful. We just don't give it enough credit.
The mind, but also the collective mind. Having the groups and worship, and that's we see that everywhere. Really, in churches, in all religions, that they encourage mass gatherings for the same reasons. And it's always been seen as God. The God was the one that healed us because we were together. But, actually it's a collective mind and that power that we create when we're all together and we're all thinking of the same thing.
Well, we're all energy, aren't we?
Yeah.
We are all energy. And if we'd said that 2 years ago, so many people would have just said, okay, this is very woo-woo.
Yeah.
And now...
And I think some people still do. Some people do. My dad definitely does.
But now it's becoming much more acceptable.
It's becoming more... because I think people are seeing the proof now, People are seeing that these things are happening and their lives are changing. My life has changed. I wouldn't have believed what's happened the things that have happened in the last 2 years are almost miracles,
Yeah, for sure.
And don't get me wrong, I've never been sick, and thankfully, and I hope I never am sick. But in my relationships, my career, my everything, the changes I've made just from literally looking at things just a little bit different, and having those moments where I take time to do my manifestations, my meditations, and my breath work. Ice is, I love the ice.
Ice is so awesome.
And you can't get a better buzz than that legally. But
I don't even think. I think some of the illegal things are not nearly as good as ice.
This is the thing I was going to say. When you're, so I've had a good old party time of my life. I've been to many places and had a lot of parties. Ice is the only thing that doesn't give you the come down, You get that. You get the buzz and you get the really slow dopamine.
I'm going to disagree slightly.
You can disagree with the come down? You think you get a come down?
No, not... breath work, a good session of breath work when you go...
The really deep sessions.
Yeah, we did 5 rounds, I think, when you come and visit me. When you do go 8, 9, 10 rounds and you go into the heavy stuff, you see awesome
I can imagine. And I've never got myself to that stage, and it's something I do really want to work on. But even today doing I've never done sound therapy before, so it was sound bowls and it was like all different types of things, really, really cool gongs, like massive gongs. It was beautiful. But just lying there, and I was having these amazing hallucinations, like just colours and visuals and, like kaleidoscopy sort of thing, and I could feel the waves within my body, and it was almost as if they were inside. The waves were inside my brain. I could feel my like. I don't know if they've got. I don't know science very much, but I could feel the fibers of my brain untangling, and it was like, and it was just such a nice feeling. And then when I finished, I thought, oh, I've got to go back to life now. Reality.
Come back to this 3D world, right?
That's it. Yeah. This 3D world that we live in.
This is where Joe Dispenza's meditations really, I do that every day. I miss 2 days and I start feeling it. Yeah, and
you start feeling reality.
Reality for sure. But when you can get away and you can turn your conscious mind off for a period of time. This is what the power is. We have this crocodile mind. We have this the little puppy dog that sits there. Must do this, must do that. Think about this, think about that, think about this. And then we have the subconscious mind, which is actually 95% of the mind. And that controls the 3.5 million cells that are replicating every second or something.
And we don't even think about it. All this kind of
stuff that's happening. But when we let that, take this away, take the crocodile, the puppy dog out of the equation, and you give your mind free time, to do what it needs to do, that's when the healing happens. That's when so much stuff, and this is why it's so good for PTSD, why it's so good for all sorts of things.
I remember in the book it was saying, I'm not very good with science, I'm not academic, I'll be honest with you, but reading the book, I mean, I took what I took from it, because it but it was saying about obviously giving your energy to that, that voice is taking away that energy from the repairing
You've only got
of
so
your
much
body.
energy in there.
So when you are stressed and you think, right, I'm giving all this power and all this energy and every day to worrying about if I'm going to pay my council tax or if the rent's going to be paid on time and stuff like that, you're actually making yourself sick because you're not able to, if you had some sort of tumour or you had something going on inside your body that you wasn't aware of, that energy isn't going to the right parts of your body. And that's what I took from that. So I hope that was right.
That was accurate. And the next stage from that is that, as I say, you have the sympathetic mode and you have the parasympathetic. And the sympathetic mode, remember what you're doing is you're running away from a lion, right?
Yeah.
And this is what it's designed for. And in that state, your body will not heal. Your body will not get better. Nothing. That's there. The digestion system stops working. The entire thing is just about right now. I need to kind of I need
this
to be
moment.
able to run fast. You don't do anything else. And if you're not designed to stay in sympathetic for a long time. You're designed to go in and out. Yeah,
when you need it. Yeah. When you're actually being chased by a lion.
Let's have some adrenaline, let's have some cortisol, let's have some stuff and let's go.
Yeah.
But what we're doing, every time we think of a bad thing, then we go back into sympathetic and we go back in and we go back in. And so we now have a long term, staying in sympathetic mode. Yeah. And then nothing heals. So what you were saying there, you make yourself very sick, and you feel like shit as well. You feel like shit. I've been there. I felt like absolute shit all the time, and I'm like, what is wrong with me? And it's all just mindset. It's just that constant negative feeling of like, oh God. And sometimes you worry about things you don't even know what you're worrying about. You think, why aren't I worrying? And then you think, I need to think of something to worry about now because I don't feel right not worrying. And you get yourself addicted to stress. You get yourself addicted because as soon as you have that moment of release, you go, there's something that I should be worried about. And then you've got anxiety for absolutely no reason. It's like having beer fear constantly. Like that's how I felt all the time. And being able to taking your mindset out of that is just completely life changing. And yet the book's really, really interesting. Like I said, that's one thing I did want to talk about. And that's sort of your company, All the Power. Yeah. What are your teachings and what you do specifically? What do you, so obviously you do your breath work, So I teach Wim Hoff.
The Wim Hoff breath work,
The Wim Hoff method.
And the Wim Hoff method is actually... very good for ice work, but you can use it without doing the ice work, right? The breath work.
Yeah, the breath work without the ice. Yeah, a lot of people just do breath work.
Yeah.
And so the breath work, there's 3 pillars. It's the breath work, the cold exposure, and the mindset.
Okay.
Yeah, and humans are such strange things, right? We go and we do something, and we do something we know is really, really good, and we love doing it, and we feel amazing, and then what happens? We do it twice and don't do it again. And the reason for that is what you were saying. Okay, we go back into sympathetic all the time, and our body is addicted to those chemicals.
Yeah.
So we're dealing as an addict for these chemicals that are running through the system, and we need to have more chemicals. So the body says, let's think about that, let's think about this, let's think about that. And it just pulls us back into the past, and we just live in the past. And this is where the ice, the breath work, those things that you do that let you live in the moment, jumping out of an airplane and when you jump out of an airplane, you have, do we clarify? You have to think, you have to stay in that moment. And you can't think about anything else. And you don't, and you just have that freedom. So I was talking about the sympathetic and pushing you in, and the ice bath, as you rightly point, is a real way to control the stress, because what it's doing is it's allowing you to go into sympathetic and then come out of. And we don't know how to come out of it properly. So
you're going into, when you're in that ice, you go into the fight and flight.
Fight or
correct.
Flight,
And then when you come out, you're more present.
Well, you're more present in the ice as well. You go into fight or flight.
Well, you have to think, don't you? You have to.
Well, you go into fight or flight. You have the 30 seconds of you can swear a bit and scream.
I've seen some funny faces when I've been doing ice work with people. It's so funny. I think Scotty was the worst.
Yeah,
Scotty from the man cave.
Yeah.
He was hilarious. He was screaming.
Yeah, I've had some corkers. I really have. Yeah. And then so you got 35 seconds of this, up to 35 to 40 seconds of this fight, this real fight or flight activation, and then you follow your breath and you go through and you go shh, and you get that almost minute and a half of actually, do you know what? This is okay.
Yeah,
it's not comfortable, but it's okay. And then somebody says something funny, or Agent Quack comes in to visit you, or what, and suddenly you're like, wow. Yeah. And you start laughing and you're kind of like, everything's just buzzy.
Yeah, Roy likes to throw ducks at you while you're in the ice. And it's normally at the right point as well, because that's normally when the dopamine starts releasing.
I can see it very clearly on your face. Like,
so we done a 0 degree. It was a 0, it was about 0 or 2, something like that.
0.5, yeah.
And I was only meant to do 3 minutes, wasn't I? But you actually kept me in there for 4 without me knowing.
Yeah.
But he literally looked at me and he went, let's put the duck in. And I was like, why? He went, because the dopamine hit. And literally, as he said it, my eye went, whoo, like that. And I just had this rush come over me, and it was just, and it's almost like the water felt warm. It was like, you sort of just feel like really, I was like, I could stay in here all day. Then I felt it about minute 4 again.
Yeah.
And and then obviously we done, because we do, you do like the horse dance. Is it horse dance?
Yeah, horse dance,
I always call it wolf dance or something.
Horse
dance before and after, don't you? To get yourself ready for the ice. And then afterwards. So we sort of, I think I had to do 4 minutes of that before, and then I don't remember now. It was all
you do the same. So I mean, safety wise, with the it's worth mentioning.
And that's really interesting. Not interesting. It's really important.
It's important. I mean, there's a few things with the Wim Hof, with the breath work. When you're doing the breath work, you can hold your breath a long time. Right? I think I'm doing maybe 6 minutes at the moment. I think I done 3 minutes or something when we did it. I done 3 minutes.
When it was in 1, 2, then 3, but in the 3 one, I was taking sips of air in between.
Yeah, so I follow a few. I've done a few recordings. I can send you some of my recordings. So I've done a few recordings of different breath work that I guide, but I struggle to listen to my own voice. Right? Yeah.
Same.
So
actually, that's a lie. I love my own voice.
So I'll go through. I'll do round 1, round 2, round 3, and I'll do that 2 minutes, whatever it is, and then like this morning with the morning club we had round 4, and there's a 2 minute breath hold, and then it went all the way through round 5, and then the 2 minute breath hold, and I did all the way through to the end, as a breath hold, and it's just you go into this space of you understand your body, you understand where you're going, you understand how it all works. You actually go into chest contractions and stuff, and from the free diving, I've learned that. And you come out of it and you just feel so good. You just feel so good. And what the breath work does is it makes your body more alkaline. And we all know alkalinity is really good for you. Cancers and things can't live there. But it also takes you directly into the sympathetic mode. Okay, because what you're doing is you're actually getting rid of everything you don't need, because your brain thinks, actually, I can hold my breath for 35, 40 seconds. You've hyperventilated beforehand. Now you're doing this. I can hold my breath for 40 seconds. You get to 50 or 60 seconds, and your brain starts saying, breathe, 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 breathe. And then you go past that. So your brainstem, where your actual requirement to breathe is controlled. Yeah, is sitting there saying, okay, no, I'm still balanced. I'm still in the right pH. I'm still in the right pH. You have a carbon dioxide buildup, and carbon dioxide is why you want to breathe. So carbon dioxide is, you don't breathe because you haven't got oxygen. You breathe because you've got too much carbon dioxide.
Right.
Okay, so when you do the hyperventilating, okay, you get to this point of, okay, I'm now hyperventilating. I've got rid of all the carbon dioxide, so you can trick your system into holding your breath for longer. Okay, and that's why it works. I mean, so many people, they come and do their first session with me, and they'll have a 2.5 minute breath hold, and they've never been able to do that before.
Yeah, that happened to me. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, that went fast.
But it's so important that you don't do this breath hold when you're trying to go in water.
Yes.
Okay, because you have shallow water blackups and you'll die. You know, we don't want that. This is not about that. You literally you have to understand you can do this above water, but if you're going to go and do it, I've had some people trying to do it in ice.
Yeah.
I've even had an idiot doing it while he's driving. I'm like, dude.
I mean, at the end, it does make you go a little bit lightheaded. Some of the stuff. So it's not the best idea to do it in the ice or when you're driving. Definitely not.
Or operating heavy equipment.
I mean, it's common sense. Yeah, you think it's common sense. Yeah.
But even people that you think get it, sometimes you're like, okay, well, I can go swimming and I can go longer underwater. So I'll just do this first. And as soon as you go down below a certain depth, the partial pressure of oxygen just becomes too low and you just pass out. It's just done.
Yeah, I've seen that because you do the diving, don't you? The ice diving as well. Free diving. And I've seen it. They do that on the breath holds, don't they? Yeah. And I've seen them when they come up and they're
So that's literally, you're going down, no hyperventilating beforehand, okay, at all. You've got to just breathe very slowly, take a really deep breath in and go down. The Wim Hoff breathing, I was like, this is going to help me and get there. And it's like, doesn't help me at all. But it did, because I can understand how long I need to hold the breath.
When you say, for someone that might not understand when you say hyperventilate before the breath hold, is that when you first, if you don't know what breath work is, when you start doing it, obviously that's that first part where you do the lots of sips of breath, the fast breathing.
Yeah, you fast breathe all the way in as deeply as you can, using your diaphragm to open up your
and that process is that's oxygenating the lungs, is it? I don't know.
Well, firstly, so much of us breathe in a shallow way. Okay? So much of us are dirty mouth breathers. Right, and we're dirty mouth breathers because, once again, our body is trying to regulate our acidity and make sure that we're at the right balance. We can only have 7.3 or something, 7.2 level of acidity in the blood. So as soon as we eat all the carbohydrates and sugars and processed foods, we suddenly get more acidic, and then from being acidic, we then have to go. The body has to make us become more alkaline, and it does that by breathing. Okay, it literally does it by breathing. And the problem is, as we go through this process, this is all oxygen advantage. So this is all really good for training and for working out and for marathons and stuff. But as we go through this process and we're having to become more and more alkaline, we can't fit the air through our nose anymore. So we start breathing through our mouth. Now, if you breathe through your mouth, okay, you only breathe in the top part of your lungs. So when we're doing the breath work, I'll say into the belly, into the chest, let go.
Belly breathing.
So you, okay, and we do that, and we find the comfortable rhythm, and then we speed it up. As you go through the more advanced breath work, you speed this up and you play with it. And that's, I'll say that's the hyperventilating, that's the initial part.
Yeah.
And then directly after that, on the exhale, when we're talking about the breath hold, it's actually on the exhale.
Yeah, it's not holding. That's the thing, a lot of people hold their breath in. It's not, it's holding it on the...
Just let go. Let everything stabilize, so there's no pressure one way or the other, and then hold the breath, right? And then just understand that your crocodile mind, your prehistoric mind, is going to say to you, you need to breathe. And he's a lying little...
He's a liar.
Yeah.
Have you read the book Power of Now? Yeah. You must have, So there was I'd like to take little bits, because sometimes I can't take all the information in. I get halfway through a book and I have to put it down, to be fair. But, what it said in there is about that you're... Basically the same point you're making about the crocodile mind. Your actual mind isn't your own mind. So and I've started to do this recently, when I start saying like stupid shit to myself, and it said, you've got to realise that's not your actual mind. Do you know what I mean? That's not you. So you need to challenge it. You need to think, no, Tez, that's not... almost like, to me, it was almost like having a split personality,
Yeah, well,
which I've always felt I had anyway. So
when you start answering yourself, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's it.
You can talk to yourself.
I was literally, I had these like thoughts the other day, and then I was like, right, no, that's not you talking. That's your, I suppose you say crocodile mind or whatever. Yeah, it's that little dog at the back of your head that's saying all those negative things and worrying about those things. So challenge it and sort of say, no, I'm not listening to you today. I'm going to think this instead. You're not going to take over my mind.
This is the 5-second rule I was talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah, when it's like, you should say, how many times have you been sitting in a conversation and you're actually having a decent conversation with somebody and you stop listening to them and you start listening to answer them. And as soon as you think, as soon as you start thinking, as soon as you start thinking something, you're like, but now you've lost half the conversation. Right? And this is why don't you say this? Why don't you say that? Why don't you say this?
Yeah.
But if you just stop, why don't you say that? No, I'm going to listen and give yourself
and take
a couple
that
of seconds.
And be used to having those pauses, I suppose, because people like to feel the conversation. And also, do you know what? Because I'm being diagnosed with ADHD apparently on the 14th of February.
Aren't we all? Yeah.
This is the thing. I think we all are a little bit, and I don't think.
How can you run a business without being?
Yeah,
ADHD?
I think and I just there's all this talk about these medications that we can take for it, and I'm like, I don't really want to take the medications because there are a lot of symptoms like what you say, like finishing sentences for people butting in, trying to understand the conversation before.
I was the worst.
Yeah, and I still struggle with that sometimes. But then I look at it from your point of view and say, actually, that's my mindset. That's not ADHD. Is that ADHD or is that the mindset? There's a way for me to not control it, but there's a way for me to recognize things differently and manage my symptoms without having to take medication. Because the medication
I think it's definitely bears saying that, look, anybody that has an actual a diagnosed medical problem, that's great. We're not talking about that necessarily. But what we are saying, I do believe that sometimes as a society we like to have a label for things. We like to label ourselves, and as soon as we start labeling ourselves, we close doors.
Yeah. I think we're all just exactly the same in that way. Yeah, I mean, for me, I'd always like to take an alternative route more recently in the last few years, and see if I can help myself before I go down a sort of the. Let
me give you an example. Yeah, so in July 22, after I'd got my qualification, and I had a workshop, a retreat actually at a lovely place out in Norfolk. And this young lady comes in with her friend, Steph and Sarah. So Sarah comes up to me and she says, just want to say, Roy, I'm not getting in the ice. You'd be surprised how often I get that. I'll do everything else, I'm not getting in the ice. So I said, okay, so what's your name? I'm Sarah. And we chatted for a bit. And then I went into the workshop and I started saying, doing the scientific piece, and we started talking about autoimmune diseases and how autoimmune diseases are based on inflammation in large part, and the Wim Hoff method can help with that. And Sarah, she actually works with me at the moment at All the Power. Sarah had 5 different autoimmune diseases. She had fibromyalgia. She had to have a thyroid removed. She was in the wheelchair most of the time. Okay, she had 8 to 9 different medications she took every day. She'd get up in the morning. She'd take a medication. She'd make the kids, 3 kids, breakfast for school, and then she'd drive them to school if she could. But if she couldn't, she'd get back into bed and get somebody else in the family to drive them. Then she'd stay in bed until 3:30, 4 o'clock. Again, take a medication just so she could get the kids. And this was her life. And her husband, her fiance, then her husband now, he had remodeled the whole house so that she could use a wheelchair in it. Yeah. And when I started talking about the autoimmune stuff, Sarah said, actually, do you know what? I need to do the ice.
Yeah, you need to try it, yeah.
And she got it. I mean, she got into the ice, and I'll never forget. She got into it, and she did so well. I was so proud of her. She comes out of it, and she's like, I said, high five. And she said, don't even touch me. Because her whole body was just on fire. It was just sore,
Yeah. That afterburn, yeah.
But during that process, during that 3 minutes, that changed her life. And she was like, this is what's going to help me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she went away, and I see so many people. I've done 2,500, 3,000 people in the last couple of years through this journey. And she came back 6 weeks later, and I was like, I know you. And she'd already lost a stone.
Wow.
And she'd gone out and she was doing ice.
She just had more energy and stuff.
She was doing ice. She was doing the breath work every day. Yeah, and this progressed. She started, I think she lost 45 pounds in the end. Yeah, she started on dress size 26 or something. She got married in a dress size 14. Okay.
Amazing.
She stopped all of her tablets except for the one for thyroid.
Yeah.
Yeah. She got rid of a lot of her depression, anxiety, all of these kind of things. She was on tramadol and all sorts of things, and she was managed to, within that process, get herself, get her life back again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and since
and it's
then,
crazy to think that just one simple step, a couple of steps of breath work and on ice bath
and commitment. The commitment.
And you have to keep it. You have to
go back and you have to do it, and you have to be committed, and you have to actually decide that you're worth it. Yeah, you're worth it. I sound like L'Oreal, right?
Do the hair flick.
Can't really do that, but invest in yourself. And come and do an ice bath, do some breath work. You've got with the saunas, you've got Susanna Soberg who talks about the contrast therapy. And investigate this stuff a little bit. Make sure you understand
get your feelers out there, and the algorithm or whatever it is will work with you. As soon as you search one thing, it's going to be all over. I had about 500 ice bath adverts come up on my feed every single day. But I mean, there are more of us out there that are offering these treatments. Obviously, I do the hot to cold therapy, and you do the ice baths, breathwork, meditation, and the sound baths. The healing, the Reikis, the things like that. There's so, and it's not for everyone. Not everyone's going to like every single therapy, but there's so much out there now that's more available and more widely available and should be investigated by everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I was just going to mention another thing to you in terms of books. You enjoyed the Becoming Supernatural.
And I love the Barefoot book. What was your friend's name? I can't remember her name, but it's called Walking Barefoot.
Barefoot Sue.
Barefoot Sue. And what's the book called? Walking with Barefoot?
How to Wear Your Bare Feet.
How to Wear Bare Feet. Really good book.
She's another Wim Hoff instructor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's 67 years old, and she kind of goes into the grounding and how grounding is so important, and that's coming to the front at the moment.
Yeah.
Grounding really is. I've got the grounding sheet.
The grounding mats. They're all over.
It's just so good.
Yeah, they're all over my feed because I watched one vlog about them, and then now they're everywhere. The grounding mats everywhere. But I actually like going outside with bare feet. I like the natural.
I got the grounding sheet, and my sleeping went up quite well.
That's really
much
good.
Better sleep. Yeah.
And you know what? We should be teaching our children all this stuff as well, because my daughter's recently started homeschooling because she was having so many issues with just being overwhelmed with school, and the way that. Just the school system. So I said I need to get her mental health in check, and she would never sleep. So when she was at school, she was not sleeping at night. And I've started to get her into breath work at night, and it's like a sleeping pill. Yeah. And she was on melatonin. She was prescribed melatonin for a long time, but we took her off of it because it was making her get headaches, it was making her groggy. So, the alternative was her staying up really late and being really tired. Whereas now putting that little tool in and they are just YouTube videos, and they're done in kids' ways, breath work, fun ways. And she's just started sleeping so much better just by that tiny little thing. Yeah. And they're we're not teaching this to our children either. And if I'd have known, I think I would have had a great last 20 years if I'd have known half the tools I know now.
You needed to go through every single thing in the last 20 years to get to where you are.
I agree with you.
There's two books that I recommend you read. One is Dale Carnegie. Okay. And Dale Carnegie is amazing. He wrote this book in something like 1909, right? And it's called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living.
Oh, wow. So he knew about it back then. Yeah, they've been worrying since that time. Jeez.
And you go through this book, and I read it again during COVID, and it was so weird because this was written during the time of the Great Plague, and people were standing in queues to get to get the vaccines and stuff, and everything we were just the same people as we were then.
It's crazy, isn't it? And how much times have changed, but we're still going through the same.
And he talks about everything you've been talking about, how you get sick. And there's one story about a guy that was consistently worrying about everything. And he decided, the doctors told he had ulcers, stomach ulcers, and the doctors said to him that you're going to die in 2 or 3 months. So you might as well get yourself sorted out. And so he decided to go on a around the world cruise, and he took his coffin onto the boat with him.
Oh, wow. I think he was just going to die out there.
Yeah, he's going to die out there. Then put the coffin back, put him in the coffin, ship him home, and he can get buried. And as soon as he did that, as soon as he got onto the boat, and he started, just forgetting about all the things that he was worrying about, suddenly, everything started getting, everything, and he never looked back. So there's all these stories about that and how to deal with things and how to kind of understand that.
All the miracles that aren't miracles, really. Yeah. They are miracles, but they're not because it's just science, really. Yeah. It's just...
Yeah, so that was something from way back when. And the one from really recently that I particularly loved was a book called Dirty Genes by Ben Lynch. And Dirty Genes it talks about our genome. And when we finally had mapped the genome and understood that our genes control so much of it, Ben Lynch went and looked at it, and he's got 7 genes that he looks at, 7 different genes. And he looks at if any of these genes are not being, or dirty, so they can be dirty from what your environment, what you're eating, or you can be born with a slower this gene or faster that gene. And you'll literally go through the list, and there's a whole bunch of symptoms there. You might have not be able to sleep, headaches, all these symptoms. And if you tick off, literally, as you go through the book, you tick these things off. Yeah, and if you've got 10 of these things or 3 of these things on the list, then this is what you can do. This is what you can eat. This is the vitamins you can supplement with.
Oh wow,
that'll stop that.
That's really good.
Stop depression. Stop anxiety. Stop. Yeah. And this is genetically. Yeah. First of all, we're predisposed to something, and secondly, we make it so much worse with the chemicals, the heavy metals, what we're eating, the unorganic food, and all these kind of things we hear about, the plastic in the water bottles, all of these different things. And. So
I think, do you know what I think is really important to say is that because we can look into things so far and say, oh my God, we know we need to be plant-based, we need to watch our metals, we need to do this, we can't swear, we can't smoke, we can't drink, all of these. And I think that's so overwhelming for people that feel like they need to tick every single box. We're breaking it down and going, right, what are my symptoms and what can I actually change? What am I struggling with? So they make it more specific to yourself, but also just taking those tiny steps and working towards the bigger picture. You can't do it all overnight. You can't.
How many of us are the same? We aren't. We're all different.
Everyone's got different problems and different lives.
And this is why when I do my workshops, I do the faster, the slower. So I try and give people the tools to actually get what works for them. Yeah. But what this gene book really made me aware of is how different every single person is. At the level we've got so many different genes, and all of us react differently from they make us feel and they make us do. And if you can pinpoint how you're reacting on certain things and adjust and fix that, then
I'm definitely going to read that book.
Yeah, it's so good. It really is.
Do you know what I was thinking the other day? Someone needs to invent. Why are you laughing?
I'm just wondering what's coming.
You know, like a car diagnostics machine where you put it in the car and it goes, right, that's what's wrong. It needs this. They need one of those for humans. It can be put in any hole. Just something. I don't care where it goes. I just want to know what's wrong with me. And I want it to go, right, calcium deficient. Just something that just actually. But then I suppose this book's basically quite similar to that because it does break it down to say, well, if you're getting these symptoms, it's because of that, which is really, really handy. I'm going to get that book, 100%.
I love new stuff and I'm always looking and I'm always
and I think as soon as you do start reading, I was never a reader. Like I say, I'm not academic at all and I don't take in all the information, but I do read more than I ever have done in my whole life for the last 2 years, and it is really, really rewarding. And it is, and sometimes I don't think it's gone in, but then it does go in.
Something will pop up somewhere.
It does pop up, and I'm like, oh, okay, I remember that. I have kept that information in, and the audiobooks are so helpful for people that can't read the words because like my words jump about quite a lot. So the audios are amazing for just getting that knowledge.
Much audio. I really do.
Do you do the micro learning? That's my new thing, apparently.
No,
I saw an app about that.
I think I kind of micro-learn anyway.
You love learning, though. I think you're someone that, like you say, you did the Joe Dispenza book in 14 hours straight, didn't you? If you're into it.
Yeah, and you find something new and you want to find out about it and you want to find... And and then I go and tell everyone about it and they're all like, here he goes again. But when I find something that helps me, then that's what I want to do.
But it's the funniest thing is people go, oh, here they go again talking this, and then 2 weeks or a month later they're using the tools that you've talked about what they told you were absolutely mental for talking about, and they're better.
Right? Yeah.
And that's why you just got to take no judgment from people that don't really take it very seriously to begin with.
Yeah. No, I mean, my job is to actually put the information out there if people want to use it.
Great. Which is great,
and if they come back, and so often people will come back a month or 6 weeks later and say, you know what, you told me about this, and now I'm just hearing about it everywhere. So maybe
or you wasn't ready for it. You weren't ready for the information. Some people just aren't ready to take the journey and take the.
But that's very. I mean, if I'd heard about Joe Dispenza the year before, I probably wouldn't even. And I knew about him, but I'd never listened. Yeah, so you have to be at the right point in your journey.
100%. Like you said, I think when you told me about the book, you said, I feel like you're at the point where you're ready for that book. Whereas last year, if you'd have said, like, same, if you'd have said to me, I'll read this book about this guy that heals people and your mind can heal you, I'd have been like, only medicine can do that. Exactly. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So I really get it. I really do get that people are at different stages in their journey, and and that's I guess that's the main point when you're trying to teach, right? You can't take people if they're not ready for it.
No.
So you have to gauge how they're doing and
what level they're ready for. Yeah.
I mean, we have people come through and they do the workshops, and it's just you can just see some people that you really have to step by step. And I did a workshop with Cass and Friends the 2nd of January. Cass and Friends, a charity that lovely lady Fee runs, and it's all these kids that have got good talent in the sporting world, but they haven't got the money to do what they need to. So Cass raises money, Cass and Friends raises money, and they might buy them the stuff they need. Maybe they're going to the Olympics and they need tickets, or they're going to these nationals, or they need some equipment. And I had up to maybe 10 or 15 kids on one side and 10 or 15 adults on the other side, and teaching a room with this dynamic of kids who really, teenagers everywhere in the world, right? They either engage with you and won't shut up, or they won't engage with you and they just sit there blankly. And I'm like, if I've got a room of teenagers, that's fine. But having them mixed together, just was a real learning experience for me. And they come through and they start asking the questions, and they slowly start engaging. And I just think if we can get the breath work into the schools, if we can get the breath work, just understanding of our bodies and understanding a little bit more about what we're doing, into an earlier stage of these kids' lives, we can do they can give them so much more of a life.
So much of a better lifestyle for the rest of them. And, it will also make so much help for the NHS in terms of, the mental health support that we're having to give to teenagers, because they're getting to the point where they can't cope, and then adult life as well. I definitely plan to do something with schools in the future, 100%.
Yeah, well, I'm right behind you there.
So we'll probably be doing it together. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
So, thank you for coming today, Roy. And if anyone wants to check out all the power, I'm going to tag the socials below the podcast, and we'll put the book links as well in. I'll put the book links in. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Been great, very informative. We're done.